welcome back to my channel. I just rolled out of bed and I felt totally inspired to make a video. So I think I'm going to do an updated plant tour of all of my plants because I am looking to do an overhaul of my whole collection. So I think it would be fun to go ahead and do this tour where my plants are now. I have purged a few plants, maybe like 10 or 15 over the last month or so. So I haven't done a lot yet, but it is coming. So I thought I would go ahead and do a plant tour right now, and then I'll do an updated one at the end of the season to see what has changed and if I actually updated things like I want to. I am looking to downsize a little bit. I have close to 200 plants in my 700 square foot home. So it is tight in here. I love it. I love the jungle vibes. I get compliments all the time on people saying that they really like how it feels in here. It's cozy, but I still want that jungle vibe feel, but I want to be less overwhelmed by plants. So yeah, I think I'm trying to curate my collection in a little bit of a different way now, and I think that's fine. I think plants are ever evolving for us, as they are for themselves. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you around my house. It's gonna take a while because I have a lot of plants, but let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here's my front door, and right next to that I just have one little plant. This is my variegated peace lily that I found at Lowe's. You know, it gets a little bit neglected. It doesn't get a ton of light. I have a window right here. I have a grow light here and then a window here, so it gets some ambient light. It still grows. This is a new leaf it just put out, but the leaves are probably not as big as they could be, maybe not as variegated, but it's okay. I really just like the look of it right here next to my shoe bin and just some junk that, you know, I don't know. It looks nice. I was afraid my dog would like destroy it, but he doesn't mess with plants at all. But he does sit here whenever he's waiting for me to come home, so I was worried, but he hasn't had an issue with it at all. So I really like this one. It was a great find at Lowe's. And yeah, moving right along to this area, it is getting a little out of hand over here. This is definitely one that I want to overhaul. So it is under Soltech lights. So on this shelf here that I got off Facebook Marketplace, one of my favorite finds, I have my Philodendron Rio, which is absolutely gorgeous. I take back everything I said about I think all of these plants are the same. With the Philodendron Rio, the Silver Stripe, the Brazil, all of them seem the same. This is totally its own plant, guys. If you can get your hands on a Rio, I highly recommend. They grow so freaking quick. I got this as a couple leaf cutting, and it's really taken off for me, and it's just getting more and more gorgeous as it goes. So highly, highly recommend this one. Then I have my Peperomia Hope here. This one is finally growing again. I up-potted it, and it's been through some things. You know, I dropped it, and all of the pieces broke off, and I had to propagate them. But it is starting to look really good again, and I absolutely love this plant. I recommend it to everyone all of the time. It's such a beautiful peperomia, and I think it's the only peperomia in my collection, and for good reason, because it's so cute. Over here, I have my neon philodendron. This one is definitely one that I'm thinking about getting rid of because I do have the neon pothos, which I think I like more. This was climbing up the wall and then it got knocked down. You can kind of see the little spots where it was rooted in. It was really cool. I did just recently take a cutting of this and give it to someone, but it's long. I have it all wrapped up. And it's just not bringing me that much joy anymore. And I'm trying to get away from plants that aren't bringing me all of the joy in the world. The one thing that's keeping me holding on to it is it was from my friend. She gave me some cuttings of it, and I grew it from that. So that's pretty special. Down here is a plant that needs some serious help. This is a silver sword philodendron narrow. So it's the narrow form. Yeah, I neglect this one like a whole lot, so I need to definitely give it a better home or do something with it, but I just like the look of the pot there. I could put something better for sure. Down on this shelf, I have my squaniferum, Philodendron squaniferum. It grows occasionally. You know, this is the newest leaf it just put out recently. And then next to that, I have my exotica. I had a big, beautiful one. I cut it up, gave the mother plants away and kept some cuttings, and now she's going wild down here, and she's just kind of crawling along the floor, so I should probably address that, but I think she looks gorgeous right there. So yeah. Then I have my Alocasia Frydek. I did just order a variegated one from Bros with Hose, so I'm pretty excited to get that one. Hopefully it has some nice variegation to it. It's been a dream plant for a little bit because I love this one so much. It's got a ton of corms in here that have popped up, which is really nice because I'm not the best with alocasia. They do tend to drop leaves and I don't care for them the best. They do want a lot more water and I know that, so I try to be cautious of it. And right now it's in a really great state. As you can see, it's really popping off. I can't wait to get my variegated one though, so yeah. And then next to that, I have my Ficus taniki, which is finally woken up. I feel like last season it didn't really grow much, and I usually put it outside in the summer, but this year I decided to leave it where it is because it started growing, and it's already working on like the 3rd leaf this season, so the leaves are getting big. Now, they're not as like red when they're inside as they are when I put them outside, but that's okay. It has some babies down here growing, so I don't want to move it because ficus, you know, ficus are ficus. So that's that little section right there. Moving on to my little art shelf here. My begonia. This is just like an angel wing begonia. I don't know the exact name of it. I love it. It's growing like crazy, blooming like crazy. Blooms all over the ground. It's so messy, and a leaf. Because sometimes I don't necessarily water it on time, but that is okay. I really love this one. I have it in no drainage, which is something that I've really been into lately. And just look how cute it looks. Seriously, so gorge. Growing on top of this, look, it looks a little silly. I'm gonna train these up the wall, I think, because I trained the tetrasperma, Rhaphidophora tetrasperma around this. It stopped growing over here and started putting out 2 growth points on this vine. So they're growing up right now. This stem is so thick now, which is awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get it to grow up the wall a little bit. I think that would be cool. But it does have 2 other vines growing. So we have this vine here, and then there's another little baby vine down there. So that's really cool. Eventually we'll have a really beautiful growing arch, I guess. And then down here I have my Philodendron gloriosum, which this is the newest leaf it just put out. Absolutely gorgeous. The prettiest one yet. And it does have another growth point, but it's all the way to the end of this. So I need to figure that out. It is getting rooted in the soil, so I'm tempted to cut it, but I don't know. I'm happy with it. I had it under my Soltech light. It did not like the bright light, so I moved it over here, which gets ambient light for the Soltech light and then light from this window, and it is way happier, you guys. The leaf is bigger and bouncier and less like gross looking, so I think that it likes a little bit less light, the gloriosum. So yeah, really, really love that plant. Up, we have my Hoya Sunrise. These plants get neglected up here, but this one is in bloom, and that is a theme you'll see around the house. I have lots of Hoya blooming this year. I feel so grateful for that. My Hoya are loving everything. This is my heirloom Hoya carnosa, which also did bloom for me this year, guys, and it might be starting again. The blooms were gorgeous and they lasted a really long time. I have been very neglectful of these plants, like I said, because they're so hard to water. Let me step back so you guys can see. I have to get a ladder out and water them, and I've just been like overwhelmed with plants, so I haven't been. And you'll see that on the Schinapsis over here. It's not looking amazing. But then over here, I have my Philodendron micans. This is my biggest one. I do have 2. I really like the Philodendron micans. I do have 2, like I said, and then I have 2 variegated versions of it. So I'm really just happy to explore those as well. I want to put something in here, but I need to lower it so the disco ball puts lights all over the house. Right now it's too high up. And here's my Sqft Silverian. As you can see, yellowing leaves. There's some curly leaves. I've been chopping it here and there to share cutting, so it's like a hot mess down there, but that's okay. I'm considering getting rid of it, which is a little sad because I grew it really big, but you know, it's not bringing me that much joy anymore. And honestly, it's just bringing me stress. And the next plant is my Calathea orbifolia, which is doing so well. It has a slight here that hasn't kicked on yet. It is on a timer, but it's starting. I'm actually like getting the care down and taking care of it really well, and it's popping off new leaves. I think there are 3 coming in at the same time, so really, really pretty. I'm loving it. Another reason that I'm considering doing something with this plant right here, because it's in the way. Looks pretty messy right here, I have to admit. And behind that is my Philodendron Brazil, which I also tend to neglect because I have to take these to the sink, which is all the way at the back of the house, and we are at the front of the house, so tends to get neglected like its counterpart here, the Monstera Addisonii wide form. I tend to neglect this one as well. Usually I try to have this wrapped up, and it just looks bushy. So That's what that one is looking like currently. And then down here, this shelf hasn't changed much since the last time I showed you guys, probably like a year ago. I still have this aloe here, and then I have my Cebu blue, which is looking pretty good for the neglect I give it. It's all the way down here now. And then I have this Chinese money tree, which is like a Pilea peperionoides or something like that, which I can't believe this is still alive. It was a tiny little plant that I really neglected, but I really like this plant for some reason, so we keep it. It's just in a small pot in this big cash pot, which is gonna be changed here soon because I have some adjustments to make. Moving down to this shelf, we have my terrarium that I made, my begonia terrarium. This coffin terrarium is from Michael's, so if you guys are wondering, Halloween time you can get it. Got Amphioxus in there. Yeah, it's just a really, really cool terrarium. It's really filling in nicely. And then I have this peace lily that my mom brought me to save, and I'm probably going to return it to her soon. It has been blooming for me, so that's cool. And here is my Manjulo pothos, which I thought I was going to get rid of, but then I fell in love with it, so we kept it. And yeah, it's growing quite nicely in this little spot. It doesn't get a ton of light here, just the light from here, and that's not a whole lot, let me tell you. Then I have this philodendron Burl Marks. She's a weird one, but I like it. Definitely should probably figure out some support or something for it. And this thing puts off so many growth points, it's so confusing. And then kind of tickling it right here is this spider plant. And this was a gift from a friend a long time ago, and I don't love it, but since it was from a friend, I'm like, here we are. It's in this cute pot from Michael's. And that is that section. If we turn around here, we have my big old Monty, the Monstera Deliciosa. He's looking real good-ish. You can see some crispy tips because I'm inconsistent on watering. But the goal with him is to get him to climb up the ceiling. There's 2 main vines in here. So I'm going to have one climb up the wall, and then one I'm going to have on a support, so it's like layered wall. And it's really nice with Monty because he gets light from this window and he gets light from this window. So he stays pretty round, which is really good for me. I like that. So that is my big old plant. This is one of the first plants I brought into my home, and he has really taken off. I should take better care of him for sure. He puts up with a lot. Then I have my snake plant collection. This is like the copper one, but I can't remember the name of it. I like it, and I really want to adjust it so it gets more light and grows. I feel like out of all my spider plants, this one is the one that hasn't grown yet. All the other ones tend to actually grow, which is kind of cool. So this one is putting out a new leaf. It's just a random one I got off Facebook plant group. And then here is my philodendron Drungle Boogie. We have been through the ringer together, but I think it's finally sorting itself out. We are getting nice, big, pretty leaves and not tiny ones that break off or don't come in fully. So that's really nice. And then I have some knitting stuff here. But around that, I have this Scindapsus argyrius, which I do prefer over my silvery and Scindapsus. And it kind of just does whatever it wants here. And it does grow. It doesn't get a ton of light. These plants only get light from the window. This is a west-facing window, so it does get pretty bright in the late afternoons. Next to that is this is a moonshine sansevieria, so snake plant. It's putting out a new leaf here. This was from my friend. She gave me a pup from her plant, so yeah, that's that. And then here is my snake plant little corner, and then I did put a shelf up, guys. So this one I've had forever, and I've noticed that it's actually growing. This is the first time since I've gotten it, since I've noticed it's been growing, and this is about to kick on, so hold on. Okay, while we're waiting for the air conditioning rocket ship to turn off, I came outside to show you what plants I put outside, which are my cactus. So I have some succulents that I'm trying to propagate here from a leaf. I've never really been that successful at it, but it's always fun to try. I have a lip op, which has never done anything for me, but it's not dead. And then I have this cactus, which is called the blue candle cactus. And I really like it. Look how pretty the colors are. It hasn't grown yet, but I have hope. And then I have my booby cactus, which I do think is putting out new boobies. So that's really nice. I did move it outside and it started getting like weird spots on it. So I hope it's okay. But yeah. Then I have this guy, which I have no idea what it is, but it's definitely getting some sun stressing and it's definitely growing, which is A+. Again, this is west facing, so these get a ton of light in the late afternoon. I have this aloe, which I love. I need to separate some pups out and share them. This is my oldest cactus that I've got when I moved into my house like 4 years ago, and all it ever does is bloom. I should probably repot it because I've never done that. This is my Parisian apple cactus that I got last year. So hopefully, since last year it was spending all of its energy on rooting, this year maybe it'll grow a little bit. That would be really exciting. Might be a little growth in there right now. Who's to say? These are some rat tail cactus, I believe, from my friend. She gave them to me over the winter and they finally started rooting and now they're growing. So that is exciting. And my Thanksgiving cactus, this was my grandpa's. I move it outside every summer. I like when it gets sun stressed, and then I can move it back in when it cools down and it looks equally as beautiful. And then the last plant I have outside is this big kahuna aloe, and it's definitely changed colors. The one inside is a tiny baby of this and it's green, and then this one is like a slightly pinky purple color. So those are my outdoor plants. Usually I put different plants out here, but this year I did only cacti. So go back inside. All right, now that we're not interrupted by the rocket ship, which is my air conditioning, it is so loud. Let's move back on to the rest of our snake plants. I don't know what these are called, guys, but I just like this corner a lot. And I do the snake plants because I don't get a ton of light, as you can see. It's only like a little bit of light throughout the day. My goal is to get storm doors so I can keep this door open, but we haven't made it there yet, so yeah. And the last plant that I have up here is in this pot from Target, and it was sold to me as a silver stripe philodendron. So if you guys are wondering what it looks like, the newest leaf is pretty variegated, and it looks like the next one is going to be as well. It's getting a lot less light now here than it used to, sitting in this shelf right over here, which are just propagations, which is why I didn't show you. And then I guess I can show you this one. This is a Stapelia gigantea. I might be getting rid of this one. I don't love it, so we will see. Anyways, moving right along to this corner, my dog and all my yarn stuff. I have my big ass pothos, my golden pothos. You can see some yellowing leaves. It probably needs a repot because this thing is huge and I haven't repotted it in 2 years, but it's growing all along. I think I want to make it go along the wall, but I haven't committed yet. And then it's also growing down here quite a lot, so let's adjust that. Getting all smushed, but let me stand back a little bit. Yeah, she's huge, and I don't have the heart to cut her, so I haven't. And then my Hoya. So here are some Hoya. I'm not going to go too in-depth. I'm definitely not taking them down because you can see they're long, but we'll show you. This is my queen, Carnosa Queen. She's getting so long. She's got some white vines. She's gorgeous. Love her. I want to put her in the disco ball eventually because I think she'd be beautiful. And Hoya up there is way better than aeroids. And then I have my Shepherdii, which has bloomed like crazy. Do you see all those peduncles? I tried to rip them off, but yeah, it was blooming like insane. I'll put a picture on the screen. And then my Lacanosa, which also constantly blooms. You should see that in the photo as well. They bloomed at the same time. These do kind of get a little neglected, but not as bad as some of my other plants, and they do totally fine because they're Hoya. But moving right along, you can see that they're happy because my princess is going to bloom, which I almost pooped myself when I saw because I feel like it's so hard to bloom Carnosa varieties. They just take a long time. So I'm thrilled. And this one's on a trellis. Absolutely gorgeous. It's gonna be so cute. I didn't mean to skip over Carmelet here. She's also gorgeous and she did bloom for me this year. Like, I can't believe she bloomed. Such gorgeous blooms. If I remember, I'll put a picture on the screen of that as well. But I do want to do a Hoya bloom video. A lot of my Hoya have bloomed this year. Like, I feel so fortunate for that. And then here is my Acuta, inner variegated. She's been popping off, putting new leaves out all over the place. So I'm very pleased with that as well because it's so cute and one of my faves. So yeah, those are my dirty Hoya shelves. I'm glad that you guys could get in on that secret of how filthy they are, but that's gonna be okay. Then down here, I have this Syngonium Winlandii. I just recently cut it and I'm going to plant so yeah, I'm going to plant the propagations back in here to make a bushier plant because it's really cute. And sorry about that, I ran out of storage. So hopefully we can get through this with enough storage to finish the house. Let's go into the bedroom. There is the least amount of plants in this room probably, although it is picking up in the plant department. So right here I have my neon pothos. which is really taken off. It gets light from this window, which is south facing, but as you can see, there's a giant house blocking the window. But yeah, it gets plenty of light. This is the darkest room in the house besides the bathroom probably. Right here, I have Minkus, my burgundy ficus, which is going through something right now. I need to get some stakes and stake it up. I tied them together. These started drooping when I had a friend come over and they sat a basket down and it kind of pulled all the leaves down. Luckily, nothing broke. So it's still doing good, but it's gorgeous. It's growing like crazy. It really likes this Farina standing light. So yeah, it's been really helpful with this plant in this room overall. Then I have this Syngonium here. This is the Erythrophyllum. It's the one with the red backs. This one gives you a lot of runners, guys. I am probably going to get rid of this one. I really liked this plant, and I still do. I think it's gorgeous, but I just can't with it. I could probably take better care of it, but I just can't right now. This right here is a philodendron that I got from a trade. I do not remember what it's called, but I really like it. I am considering getting rid of it only because I'm not certain about it, but I do really, really like it. So it's staying for now. The leaf is kind of stuck right now. It'll be okay. And then over here is my big kahuna Syngonium. This is my Syngonium Chiapints. I recently fixed it up so it looks a little silly because it hasn't adjusted to its new location yet. This is attached to the wall because it's very flimsy, and also the pole is broken. So the pole is not actually attached to anything. You can see I've lost some leaves here, but that's okay. It's still going strong. I'm gonna have to address it soon because it's definitely outgrown the pole, but I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Such a staple in my room for sure. And then down here, I have my variegated string of hearts just growing all around, doing whatever it wants. And then I have this micans right here, this philodendron micans. Recently cut it to give a cutting to someone. This was grown entirely of wet sticks. So if you look in here, it's just tons and tons of vines because I just made a bunch of wet sticks and then potted them all together and it made this plant, which I think is really cool. And then I have my philodendron ring of fire, which we're still learning each other apparently because it's not doing amazing. I have my philodendron Lynette, which we're finally adjusted to. When I got this plant from a local plant store, it had thrips. So that was an adventure, and I almost just threw it away, but I decided not to, and I'm glad I didn't because it is very cute. But this is still one of the last leaves left that has the thrip damage. I'll probably cut it off soon. And it actually did bloom for me this year, which was wild. It was really cool to see. Then right here, I have my philodendron painted lady. It's just a small little one for right now, but we are gonna work on getting her big and beautiful as she should be. In this cloche, I have the fern leaf begonia. I recently chopped this all the way up because it was touching the top of the cloche. I chopped it all up and then I just put the little cuttings back inside of the moss. And we're just seeing what happens. So far, so good. It's not completely dead. It doesn't look amazing right now, but I'm sure it'll get there. Then I have my Alocasia Jacqueline in this really cute pot from Michael's. I think it's just a look. And it's finally giving me a new leaf. So yeah, I got this from Lowe's actually. So keep your eyes out if you're interested in one at Lowe's. It was a really good deal. And I have my variegated Maranta, which just recently bloomed for me. I need to go off and cut these little tiny leaves off. They're finally dying off. Those are the original ones, but it's been growing really well. You can see that's a hair, not a spider web, I promise. There are no spider mites yet, knock on wood. But yeah, it's putting out new leaves. So I'm very happy with that. I moved this out of brighter light into a spot that has bright light. This is a Soltech Solutions light. So it is bright light and these plants grow amazing, but it's not so close to the light like it was before. So if you're having trouble like with bleaching or you're not seeing the variegation as much, definitely move it further away from a light. It helped me a lot. And right here is an elbow cutting that I got recently from a local friend. I potted it up in the soil and we're going to see what happens. It's not the most gorgeous cutting you've ever seen by any means, but I'm very pleased to have one. This isn't my first one. That's a little spoiler for you guys. I actually got another elbow cutting or two from another friend and they are absolutely stunning. In here, I made a tiny little terrarium out of this jar that I found from Goodwill. It has a variegated heartleaf philodendron, some serpents cuttings, which are doing so well, thankfully, and the frosted heart syngonium cutting in there, which is finally rooting. And then back here is my big mama philodendron pink princess, which I am finally in love with. Me and this plant went back and forth for a while on if I liked it or not. And I do. I have 3 cuttings in here. That's the second one. This is the third one. And yeah, it's really looking stunning. I'm very happy with how it is growing. Up here, I have some really fun plants. This is my Thai Constellation Monstera. Doing really well. The original leaf did die off, which was fine because it was really weird shaped. And yeah, we are doing well. This is the newest leaf right here. So hopefully we'll get some more like highly variegated ones too. Usually it's like every other. And then this is my Syngonium albo, which I recently cut because it was like all the way up here and the propagations are in there. And what I'm planning on doing is taking my Mojito Syngonium, which is right here, which needs a repot very badly, and potting it with my Syngonium albo once those cuttings are ready, and just making a big bushy pot of mixed Syngonium because I think that they look nice together. So yeah, I really like the Mojito. It's very pretty. Look at that leaf. And right here is a, what is that called? An African violet. It's my only one in my collection. Probably the only one I'll ever have because this one is just gorgeous. I think this is like Heaven's Reflection or something like that. If you guys are interested, it's so pretty. So that's that little section. And then the last plant that I have over here is my Hoya pubicalyx, which is, you know, growing all along back there, but it's on this trellis and it's gorgeous. I love it. And then my new plant cabinet over here, which I did a video on, so I won't go too in depth on it right now. This is a Philodendron Splendid. This is a Halo Micans. So it's the Micans that has like the little bit of variegation on the outside. The Ficus taniki. This is an Addisonii, a Monstera Addisonii mint. It's finally putting out a new leaf. This is my variegated heartleaf philodendron. This is my pride and joy right now, my philodendron melanochrysum. It is growing so well, but as you can see, it's reached the top of the pole, and another extension is not going to fit in here. So I do have a solution coming that will hopefully work, so I don't have to cut it just yet. Down here, I have my tricolor Monstera Addisonii. The new leaf is looking all white, which scares me because the previous one was a half moon. So I hope it's not going completely variegated. That would make me very sad because it's so pretty. Here I have my variegated Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, which I bought locally. And you know, this is one of the original leaves and it's browning off, which is totally fine. This is my variegated Jade Scindapsus, and it is currently putting out a new leaf. Then I have my Philodendron Strawberry Shake down here. And what do I have up here? This is a Scindapsus rubiacon, which is another variegated Scindapsus. And my Philodendron gigas. So all of these plants, pretty much all of these plants, I've bought locally. We have a really great plant community here that has like really great rare finds. So that is kind of what I'm trying to move my collection into, is more rare plants. I think everybody has a goal like that, but I'm finally in a place where I can do that. So it's very exciting. And then I just have a ping in here to catch some of the fungus gnats. Really been into pings for that purpose lately. Then I have my silver band Maranta that I got from Lowe's for $20 here, and it is stunning. I didn't know I was a Maranta person until I found the variegated one, and this one is stunning. You can see it's blooming like crazy. It's also giving new leaves. Highly, highly recommend you snagging one of these. I've been seeing them at Lowe's a lot. I actually saw some on clearance, and I almost bought one to save just for a video, but I decided to leave it. But it's so pretty. And then I have my Hoya Bartoniae right here. And this is the only window that it gets light from. This is north facing, and Maranta love it. Absolutely love this light. I had this one hanging in the window, but I moved it and I like it there better. So there's that. And the final plant in my bedroom is my ZZ plant. You guys know we've been around. It's one of the first plants that I brought into my home. It grows very slowly. It gets light from the south facing window, this little light, and then a little bit from over there, but it grows, but not that fast. All right, and now we're going into the kitchen where most of my Hoya live. I do have this heartleaf philodendron here, which I'm going to probably get rid of because it's not looking great and I don't take care of it. But we're just gonna do a quick overview of the Hoya cabinet here. Is the IKEA default cabinet. And I did just purchase new shelves for this yesterday because this is where I think I'm gonna move my melanochrysum to. So I got some horseshoe shelves, so the center will be empty and I can have big poles in it, but I can still put plants all around it. As you can see, this holds humidity really well because of all of the plants in here, and I don't have it weather stripped at all. So this is just an overview of all the Hoya. I cannot go through all of these, you guys. I have so many. There's also a couple of Dischidia mixed in, like this one back here in the center. That's a Dischidia. My Elliptica is about to bloom for the first time, and I might cry because that's a gorgeous plant, and I love it. And yeah, so this is what we're working with. I have it packed full of Hoya. Down on the next shelf, it's no different. They're all Hoya here. Growing. Tons of these have bloomed for me this year, and I just got lucky and found them because they're so hidden. And in fact, I might have missed some of the blooms. Who's to say? Like this one over here bloomed, and I almost missed it because it was behind that leaf. But yeah, this one, my Paculea clauda, which has a different name now, is currently blooming, if you guys can see. And it also has another bloom down below that hasn't opened yet behind this Numelia roides. And there's definitely some rescue plants in here that we're, you know, trying to save. And yeah, and then down here, I have one of my Monstera albo cuttings that I'm trying to revive. This one almost did not make it, and it doesn't have any roots yet, but there's always hope, right? Yeah, and then just some more Hoya and my Dischidia little thing here, which is clearly taken the heck off, and I should probably do something about, but it's wild and I like it. And then this is just a pot of Dischidia Numelia roide cuttings, or plant. Yeah, so that is my default cabinet, which I do have a video on, but it looks very different now because that was probably like a year or two ago that I got that cabinet. Over here are my Hoya shelves. These are going to get the biggest makeover of everything because I'm probably going to chop all of them up and sell a bunch of them. But yeah, it's not that I don't love Hoya anymore, but it's no longer one of those things where I feel like I need to have every single one of them. It's more I want to have the ones that bring me immense joy and they're beautiful, and yeah. So not that they're not all beautiful, but I'm just getting overwhelmed, as you guys can imagine, having so many plants. So there's all of those. And they're definitely being neglected more than I'd like to admit. This one is going to bloom again. This one's bloomed like 2 or 3 times already this year. And then I have another one that's about to bloom. And let's see. Down here, I've already cleaned out some of these plants and sold them. And then I have some really gorgeous blooms right here. These are the flagellata blooms. So pretty and fuzzy. Another serpent's cutting that I'm trying to save. And actually, it might be working, but I'm not going to jinx it and look at it too much. And then just some random plants down here. And in my prop box, I have these are ones I just got. So we're trying to make sure that they're happy because this is a Red Anderson. This is a Micans Aria, so it's a variegated Micans. And then we have a variegated Domesticum. So these ones are just living in this prop box with a heating mat, trying to make them as happy as possible. And we have another Hoya shelf. So just some of the normal Hoya that have been living here. I did sell some of the other ones that were here. So we're slowly working through the collection. I did pot my 2 string of pearls together, my regular one and my variegated one. I was nervous about the decision, but I think it looks really good. This pot is from Michael's. So yeah, I just potted them both together and I'm happy with how full and big it looks. I really like the string of pearls, guys. I don't know, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I do think I like it a lot. And then some more Hoya and Dischidia here. I'm probably gonna do a more in-depth collection for the Hoya ones once I figure out how I wanna do it. But my Ingleriana is in bloom, and these blooms have been on there for at least 2 weeks now, I think. So these hold on for a long time. So if you're looking for one that has blooms that last for a while, those are a good one. But that's those shelves. And then the last plants that I have in here are some Hoya over here on my windowsill. This is a, what is this? A north-facing window? Yeah. So just a couple of Hoya. Clearly I have some blooms I need to clean up and address, but yeah. And this one is in bloom as well. The Croniana. A couple places, but yeah, those are those. And into the bathroom is the last of my plant collection. So I have another cabinet in here, which I have a video on as well. My Rudsta wide cabinet. These are under a knockoff Soltech Solutions light. I did a video on it actually, but yeah, if you guys want to know an update on this light, I do still really love it. I don't think it's as good as the Soltech Solution light. I think my plants under the Soltech grow much faster, but my plants under this light still grow and they're still happy. As you can see, this is my Philodendron biliaceae, or billy tie or whatever it's called. The leaves are getting big and I really need to figure out what I want to do with it because clearly it's just not going to work in this space. Back here, I have another Monstera elbow cutting. This one is finally in soil and it has a growth point. So hopefully we'll get something good and beautiful out of that because the mother plant that I got it from is absolutely stunning. This cutting is the same from the other one. She gave me this one because the other one wasn't doing so well, which she did not have to do at all. But she's one of my good plant friends, so I was very happy about that. I recently cut up my, what is this, Monstera Stiltopicana, and I made some little cuttings that I've been putting in mystery boxes for people locally, and then I have another cutting back here of a plant that I cut up, which you'll see in the cabinet. So I have a lot of Hoya in here, and some of these Hoya are my favorites, so they are really, really pretty. We're getting lots of new leaves, as you can see, and yeah, everything seems so happy. I have my only Anthurium luxurian, it's just the corm, and it's actually starting to grow, so I have high hopes for that. As you can see, it's like 86% humidity in this cabinet. We have a ping, which is catching all my fungus gnats, and I think it's doing a great job. Then I have my Philodendron Brantianum Affinity. So it's not the actual Brantianum. I do have a cutting of that in my propagation station, which I want to grow alongside of this because I think it'd be really cool, but it's doing so well. I love this one. I think these ones have the larger leaves and less like splashing, but I'm gonna cut it eventually because these bottom leaves are small. I'm gonna let it put out one more leaf and then we're gonna readjust it on a different pole, cut, fresh, good to go. And then I just got my Epiprimnum albo and I put it on a pole as quickly as I could to see what I can do with it. Here is the Monstera Stiltopicana. So I had to cut it. The leaves are getting really big. I want to see if I can get them to finish straight. I don't know if I'll keep that one forever because it's not the most spectacular plant, but I'm really pleased with how I've been able to get the leaves bigger with the pole. I recently just cut it and restarted it. So yeah. Then just a bunch more Hoya. I'm not going to go into all of them like I said, because I am going to do a separate video, but look how big those leaves are back there. Love. Down here, we have some other propagations. This one is a Monstera Lechiana or something that I'm probably gonna get rid of. Then I have the Emedrium Silver, which we need to figure that one out. It has a big long runner and no leaves, so that's fun. Then we have the Philodendron Majestic cutting, which has a new growth point, which is exciting. Once it gets a couple more leaves, I'll probably put it on a pole. And then we have, this is a Bipinniform Philodendron Aria. So the leaves come in this color, and then I think they turn a dark green color, which I thought the Aria was supposed to be like variegated. And I almost threw it out because I was like, okay, it's not gonna be variegated. But instead I threw it in my prop box. It started putting out these bright green leaves, and then I looked it up and it is actually supposed to come in like that. And then you can see there's a little bit of dark green on that one. This is the Philodendron Pluto, which I'm probably gonna get rid of. And here are some more of my poles. This is a Monstera Obliqua Amazonians. This is the, what is it? 09680 or whatever Philodendron, which has been through a ringer. It was given to me for free because the person that had it wasn't successful with it. I put it in the prop box and then I took it out of the prop box and all the leaves fell off, but it's still growing, so I'm gonna keep it because I like it. This is the Philodendron Lupium, which is proving to be a little bit more difficult of a plant than I originally thought, but we have it on a pole. I think it's gonna, you know, do really well in this cabinet for a while. And then we have the Philodendron Serpens, which I'm uncertain if it's happy or not. Not serpens, Philodendron Varicosum. So yeah, those are those. I really like the black poles, but yeah, that's all of my plants, you guys. And that is my whole plant collection. So those are all the plants in my tiny little home. And it is very hot in here now because I had to turn the air conditioning on because it sounds like a rocket ship. So I really want to get that turned back on. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below on what your favorite part of my plant collection is. I'd love to hear it. And if you have any suggestions on how to tame it a little bit to make it less stressful, definitely let me know those as well. And subscribe to my channel for more random content. I will see you guys with an update after I completely renovate my plant collection in a couple of months. All right, see you next time. Bye.